In your opinion, how important are projects like the compilation of music of Cape Verdean composers for preserving culture and encouraging new generations of musicians?
Yes, I think it's of primary and paramount importance. Most countries, I shouldn't say most countries, but most countries, when they receive missionaries from Europe, they received a version of Christianity that was specific to that one culture. And I know that Cape Verde is located on the western side of the African continent, and there are countries in Africa that were on the continent of Africa that were practicing versions of Christianity before missionaries came. My point is, when missionaries did come, they also imposed their culture through colonialism, and a part of that were a book of songs that were conducive for worship. Most denominations, I have several hymnals here in my office of several different faiths: Presbyterian, Methodist, Seventh-day Adventist, Baptist, African Methodist, Episcopal. I have several different hymnals here, and each group assembled a group of songs that were specific to the denominations that each were a part of. So they taught doctrine. Okay, they taught the different belief systems of each of those denominations. Fine, but also embodied in that book is a style of music that is representative of a particular era. Beautiful music, beautiful style of writing, but it is reflective primarily of that. Now, if you look only to that book for your reference for musical output, for worship songs, once again, you're limiting the availability of creativity that is possible to be expressed in your worship to a particular time period, to particular experiences either you or generations before you have encountered. At one time, each of those composers were living. At one time, each of these songs were brand new. At one time, each of these songs were fresh to the worshiping community. So while it is important to treasure some of these songs, the same way God has songs being sung from the end of time to the beginning, it is also important for the story of the community to continue being documented in the songs that are being given. Some of these songs talk about how God has walked with them and how he talks with them, and how in the garden or doing different things outside at work and at play, and the language that is used is dated. But it is important for the language that is used and for the experiences to be reflective of what's being done now. And that brings up another area that I'm glad you're allowing me to speak on, even if it's briefly. I believe that God has given each congregation, not each denomination, each congregation, each person really, but each congregation their own body of songs, their own body of spirit, of devotional stories, of testimonies, of things that are unique, specific to that community, so that that community can thrive on its own. So when that community sings about how God had brought this community through oppression, this community through genocide, this community through financial hardship, this community through an abundance of blessings, an abundance of goodness, those songs have a deeper meaning because they're connected specifically to this group of people versus someone else's experience. So if a community has a chance to invest in creative output and a musician learning how to write music, how to document music, so that these expressions can take life and continue growing throughout generations, so that 100 years from now, they're singing the songs that we are writing now versus the same way we're singing songs from 100 years ago. If we're not writing new music, if we're not contributing to that story, it is almost as if we wouldn't have had any contribution to what is happening in the future. So it's important.
In the worship services you lead, how do you turn the idea of music diversity into practical worship experience for the congregation?
I have found that sometimes it could seem, without intuition, in this area, it could seem like you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It could be difficult. One of the things that works, that the Holy Spirit has to be in the driver's seat. You cannot manipulate a circumstance like that. You cannot conjure up or create. You can't manipulate it. You can assemble all the factors, but the Holy Spirit is the one that takes it and makes it applicable. What I'm sharing is what I do in my worship service. I try as much to have varying types of music. In our worship service here at Sligo, we incorporate the pipe organ, we have the acoustic piano, we have drums, we have the bass guitar, we have electric guitar. Sometimes we have acoustic guitar, sometimes we have an orchestra with us as well. And I have some people who I work with, and we create music sometimes for special worship services, not just the holiday weekends, but we sit down and we put together elements of different genres of music, tying it together with a song that people may know. Maybe it's a familiar hymn that we have rearranged or we have recomposed and represented in a brand new way, so that people see something familiar, but it looks or it sounds different. I equate it to seeing an old friend in new clothes. It's like, this is nice. Yeah, I haven't seen you. I only see you at work, but now I see you dressed up. Or I only see you dressed up, and now I'm only seeing you. Now I get to see you outside of work. It's refreshing to the palate. So it's intentional. It's where we touch on different genres of traditional music. Sometimes you do Negro spirituals. Sometimes you do classical anthems. Sometimes we do contemporary Christian worship music. Sometimes we do bossa nova tunes. Sometimes we do gospel music. Sometimes we do, whatever the spectrum may be. But we try to make sure that it's different, and that not for the sake of being different, but that it's unique to our specific congregation. Our congregation, we have close to 800 to 1,000 people every week from all over the world. And they represent so many different corners of the globe, and they express themselves differently. It's just beautiful to see how different it is. But with that sharing of different genres and different styles and different types of music, you also get different responses. Some people sing along, some people clap, some people stand, some people are silent, some people don't say anything until after the service, when they say thank you very much. Some people just send you an email or a note on your phone and say thank you very much. But the responses are often varied, and that's often another area that is worth navigating as you share different music. Sometimes if you share good food, again, going back to the food analogy, if you share good food, in some cultures, you have to slurp your plate to make sure that way they know it's good. In other cultures, you need to leave food on your plate when you're done to let them know that you enjoy the food. But either way, you're receiving, being on the giving end, you receiving what they're sharing will vary in how they are receiving, how they're interpreting and enjoying what it is you're sharing within the worship service. So that in itself too has been different. But it's beautiful. It's a part of who we are as God's people.
Many of the composers in this project have strong musical ideas but limited formal training. What advice would you give to musicians who feel called to compose but have not had the opportunity for formal music education?
I would say to learn the basics. Just learn the basics and document what you are able to create. It is not every tradition is oral, meaning most traditions you pass on what you learned, what you share, and people remember it and they pass it on. That's one way, but you must learn to document it. If I have the gift of music, I also believe it is a part of my responsibility in that gift to ensure that It is documented, and that the gift is preserved, and the gift can be passed on to other people. So it can truly be a gift, not just for that moment or while I'm around. Long after I'm gone, others can still benefit from it. I think that is of utmost importance, and it is hard to do, but it's so rewarding because it deepens the flexibility of the gift. It deepens the reach of the gift. It will go further than just any recording on any device. It can be passed, it can be made digital, it can go online, it can reach the world. But first, I think it will be beneficial if it can be documented. And then once it's documented, and here in America, we copyright things. There's probably a similar process all over the world. It's probably maybe called something else, or patent it, to ensure that no one else takes your ideas. Because if someone hears your idea, it's like, oh, that sounds great, and they can just essentially recreate it. If they know how to write and they know how to read and music and so forth, they can document it and they publish it with their name on it, and you're like, that's my gift. That's not right. But that, I believe that has, and then it also gives it new legs, because then the gift can not only reach other people, but that it can evolve. People like me who are looking to reach diverse congregations, like I may hear a song, or I may come across a song and say, this is actually pretty nice. If I tweak this, if I tweak that, if I change this, that, and the other, I could put it together with this other song over here, and now we have something that is beautiful for my group of people that you wrote. And of course, when in our church, we give the credit to every composer, every piece of music. They get their name goes on it. But I think for legacy building and for retaining the value system of a culture or heritage, acquiring the skill of literacy to a degree where you can document your material or find someone who can help you with that, I think it's imperative. It's an imperative form and a task that each musician who has this responsibility should look into.